Some applicants and parents that I talk to have a laser focus on the Ivy League. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. It's just important to understand why that focus is there. I went to an Ivy League university, so there's no question in my mind that I believe an Ivy League university has fantastic global brand name, it has strong academic credentials, fantastic faculty, great research capabilities, and many of the other criteria that you're going to be looking at. Tons of student activities, clubs, access to alumni, etc. However, the one thing to keep in mind is that the US is the country with the largest number of educational institutions in the world. It has over 4,500 educational institutions, while a country like the UK, for example, has just over 300. Just by order of magnitude, it's not difficult to imagine that there are many universities beyond the 8 that sit within the Ivy League that are going to be equally strong in terms of brand name and all the other criteria that you're looking at as the Ivy League. So it doesn't hurt you to actually go in your initial outset to consider other universities beyond that. And why is that? So one, you may find that some other universities may actually meet some of your criteria better than some of the universities in the Ivy League. And if that's not the case, well, that's absolutely fine. You've done your due diligence and you've made sure that you haven't missed a really good university that you may want to apply to, whether it's for yourself or for your child. Secondly, there are sometimes reasons why people pick the Ivy League, which may not be the best reasons. Sometimes it's just familiarity. I'm sitting in India, I've heard of the Ivy League, and I think they're the best universities out there. Well, if again you work with somebody who's an educational consultant, or even consult friends, family, and other applicants to these universities, you may find there are actually a number of other universities that are extremely well known and maybe as equally familiar to you that you may want to consider. I can rattle off 3: Stanford, Duke, MIT. None of them are Ivy League, but they're all very well known universities in India and globally. So familiarity in itself is probably not the best reason for you to be considering just this small group of universities. Next, sometimes reason that I hear is, well, it's the brand name, it's the networking. That's really important when you're going to universities, and that's a very important criteria for me, and I believe I can get that at an Ivy League university. One, not untrue. Again, if you think of all these universities that I mentioned, which are not Ivy League, you're likely to get equally strong networking opportunities at these universities as well. So those are also not reasons necessarily to limit yourself to that. Overall, essentially, it helps you to, at the outset, consider more than 8 universities in your initial consideration set, go through the criteria that are important, and make sure you're selecting the right university. We're lucky to have the choice that the US offers, and so it will only help us to make sure we're making use of that choice and picking the best universities for ourselves or for our children.